I'm Dr. Sapna Katiyar, professor in ECE department at ABES Institute of Technology, Ghaziabad. This is lecture number 6 of electronic devices. The subject is for the students of second year, ECE, EI, IC and related branches. And this topic which you are going to study in today's class, it is of unit 1. So, here you are going to study about bonding forces and energy bands in solids. This is first topic and the second is EK diagram. So, actually you have to study three things. First you are going to study what do you mean by bonding forces, how many types of bonding forces exist, then how energy bands is being formed in the case of the solid, the formation of energy bands you have to understand, and after that you have to understand the EK diagram. EK diagram is actually energy wave vector diagram. So, here you have to study the overall pattern, how this diagram look like, where would be the maxima, where would be the minima and what kind of pattern is actually. Let us start this topic. So, first let us understand what you mean by bonding forces. From the name itself, bonding and forces, bonding forces. So, the bonding forces which is actually in any material, this bonding force is provided by what? This bonding force is provided by atoms, and generally this bonding force is of two types. It may be attractive or repulsive. See, bonding forces between the two atoms, it may be of two types, attractive or repulsive. But how these bonding forces varies? Because you are studying this bonding forces and you know that it exists between the two atoms. It means there must be certain variation when the two atoms are moving away or when the two atoms are coming closer. Then how this particular bonding force which you are saying, it must be attractive or repulsive, how it vary. So, that pattern also you need to study. So, for that let us discuss this diagram. See, here a curve is being plotted, it is in between the distance which is being taken along the x axis and along the y axis this force is being taken. See, the distance which we are talking about, the distance between the atoms, distance between the two atoms, the interatomic distance. You can see when the distance is large, when the two atoms are far away, then what will happen? There is nothing like that much who is going to impact the overall mechanism. So, when the distance is large means we are talking towards the right side of the terms. So, in that particular case there is a negative attractive force which is quite prominent, but as well as this distance is decreasing. When the distance is decreasing, you are moving toward left, then this particular distance is decreasing. So, when you are moving towards left, this distance is decreasing. Now, this attractive force is quite significant over here, but at that same time you can see there is a variation in the repulsive force. See, as the distances reduces, this repulsive force increases. Along the y axis you have taken the repulsive force, you can see over here this force is being increases over here. What will happen? There will be a point, at that point this attractive force will be equal to the repulsive force, means the net force would be equal to what? 0. So, there would be at that particular point, see this particular point I have mentioned over there, when the distance of separation is r0, the attractive and repulsive forces balance each other, and when they balance each other the net force is what? 0, and this equilibrium spacing r0, this is known as bond length. Bond length. So, you can see at this particular point this curve is being shown. If you are saying this is 1, 1 is being shown for the attractive force, 2 is being drawn for the repulsive force and this third one is for the resultant force. So, when this distance, the bond length is r0, then attractive and repulsive forces will balance each other and the net force would be 0 over here. So, this is about the bonding forces. Now, let us discuss about the bonding forces in case of solids. You have studied the structure of solid, it may be crystalline, amorphous or any kind, but in general in a solid what happens, the atoms are arranged in a systematic manner. So, now let us discuss the types of bonding forces which exist in the solid. There are three types of bonding forces. First is ionic bonding, second is covalent bonding, third is metallic bonding, and all these three types of bondings you must have studied in your schools. But let us revise it because it would be helpful to understand the further things. What is ionic bonding? In ionic bonding, atoms of one element transfer electrons to the other so that both have stable configuration, and this transfer of electrons from one element to the other element, it occurs from the outer shells only. It is not meaning like there are 5 orbits and out of that 5 orbits the inner one orbit transferring the electron. No. So, whatever the valence electrons exist in the outer orbit, that is being transferred to the another one so that both will have a stable structure. In this diagram you can see, if we say this is A, this element A and this is B, you can see one electron which is free, which is available in the outermost orbit, this electron is being transferred to B so that A will also becomes a stable structure, B will also have a stable structure. The same you can understand in the case of NaCl, how this ionic bonding forms. If you see the electron arrangement in case of Na, it would be what? 281, while in case of chlorine it would be 287. What will happen over here? This one electron which is in the outermost of the sodium, this will be transferred to the chlorine and both will have a stable structure. So, now it will become Na plus Cl minus, because sodium is donating. So, this is represented as Na plus and chlorine is receiving one electron. So, it is represented as Cl minus. So, in this particular way this is being formed. You can draw it diagrammatically as Na plus Cl minus. The size of this orbit of Cl will be relatively large than the Na, because it will have 2 orbits while chlorine will have 3 orbits in total. What are the properties of ionic bonding? There are some important properties. Ionic bonding are very strong. These bonds are very strong. These bonds are non-directional, and ionic bondings are having very high melting and boiling points. So, these are some of the important characteristics of the ionic bonding. Let us discuss the another one, which is covalent bonding. You are very well aware with this covalent bonding because you have studied the semiconductors as well. When you have studied the intrinsic semiconductor, the pure semiconductor, you have drawn that each and every atom is being surrounded by certain atoms. They form the bond by sharing of the electrons, which is actually known as the covalent bond. Just to revise, covalent bonds are formed by sharing the electron pairs between the valence electrons in the incomplete outer shell. Examples are silicon, germanium. This is very much possible and you have studied this as. If you recall, means in this particular diagram it is just being shown there are 2 elements A and B and both are sharing, both are forming a bond, covalent bond by sharing electrons. But if you observe the case of the silicon, what you have studied in intrinsic, a single silicon atom is being surrounded by 4 silicon atoms. It is having 4 electrons in the outermost orbit and neighboring silicon atoms are also having 4. So, by sharing 1 electrons, it will form a covalent bond and will have a stable structure over here. Covalent bondings can be achieved in 2 ways. There are 2 ways, 2 techniques how this covalent bonds can be formed. First is by sharing the electrons within the same kind of atom, means atom A and B both are same, like H2, Cl2, O2. Same kind of, like sharing of electrons between the same kind of atom, between Nn, between HH, between Cl. And the other is sharing of electrons between the different kinds like CH4, H2O. You can see the structure of CH4 will be what? One carbon atom will be surrounded by 4 hydrogen atom. Hydrogen is having 1 electron, carbon is having 4. So, 1 hydrogen atom electron, this will form a covalent bond. So, this is the second case where sharing has been done on the like different kinds of atom. So, accordingly you can say that covalent bonds can be formed in 2 ways. Moving ahead, you have studied 2 ways by forming the covalent bond, but how many electron pairs have been shared between the atoms? That will also gives one classification of the covalent bonding. Means whether the sharing is being done for single covalent bond, double covalent bond or triple covalent bond. So, depending upon the 3 types of covalent bonds can exist. Let us have a look on the examples as well. Here you can see that in case of HCl, what will happen? Hydrogen is having 1 electron in the outermost orbit while chlorine is having 7 electron. So, hydrogen can easily donate 1 electron to the chlorine. So, hydrogen and chlorine both will have a stable structure. But here sharing of 1 electron pair is being done. So, this is the first case. Second is double covalent bond. In this case you can see in the case of CO2 what happened? A carbon atom is in between the 2 oxygen atom. Carbon atom is having 4 electrons in the outermost orbit. Oxygen is having 6. So, 2 electrons of the carbon will form a covalent bond, means sharing of 2 electron pairs. So, this is known as a double covalent bond, and third case is the triple covalent bond. You can see in this particular diagram 2 nitrogen atoms have been taken over here. It has 5 electrons in the outermost orbit. So, 3 will form covalent bonds, means sharing of 3 electron pairs. So, this is known as triple covalent bond. So, I hope now all these 3 types of covalent bonds are also clear to you. Let us discuss some of the properties. Some of the characteristics of the covalent bonds are what? Covalent bonds are also very strong. Covalent bonds have high melting and boiling points. Covalent bonds are strongly directional, means direction will be strongly dependent, direction will be fixed. You cannot vary the direction like in the case of the CO2, oxygen and carbon atom can be allocated anywhere, no. So, it is a strongly directional. And last point is dipole moment arises because of bond formation. So, there will be a dipole moment because the bond is being formed. So, these are the some of the important characteristics of the covalent bond. Now, let us discuss the third type of bonding, which is the metallic bonding. What is metallic bonding? In metallic bonding, valence electrons are not bound. You can note down this point even if you have studied this. Here, valence electrons are not bound to the individual atoms or pairs, but these valence electrons move throughout the metal. Means in the whole metal, these valence electrons, free electrons are moving actually. So, here electrons belong to the metal as a whole, not a particular any defined atom or the neighboring atoms, no, it is available for the overall metal itself. This bond exists between electrons and positively charged ion. If you see the structure of a metal, there will be electrons or positively charged ions, and metallic crystals have high electrical and thermal conductivity. See, even you know that crystals, matlab metal is a very good conductor, so conductivity will be high. So, metallic crystals, this will have a very high conductivity and and high electrical capabilities as well. So, All these points are clear. Now let us have a look on the diagram which shows there is a availability of electrons and positively charged ions only. You can see in this diagram, see this is the case of the metal. Here you can see free electrons and positively charged ions are present over here. So this is the case of the metallic bonding. So now it must be clear to you all the three types of bonding forces which exist in solid. What are the three forces? Ionic bonding, covalent bonding and metallic bonding. So moving ahead, now let us discuss the energy bands in solids. What do you mean by energy band? Till now you are aware with the energy level. If you are talking about an individual atom, what will happen over there? Corresponding to each and individual atom, there will be a independent energy levels. So in case of single atom, there will be single energy level. But in case of solids, what will happen? You have studied that in case of solids, atoms are arranged in a systematic manner. So when atoms are arranged in a systematic manner, means each and every atom is being influenced by some of the surrounding atoms, neighboring atoms, and the closeness of atoms results the intermixing of electrons in the valence shell which takes place. Means as much as the atoms are close, there will be an impact, there will be a perturbance, and that will create the overall impact. And because of the intermixing, the number of permissible energy level increases because of intermixing. But how actually this happen? You can plot the energy level, discrete energy level. If I am saying ki plot the discrete energy level for the silicon atom, you can draw it very well. You know how many electrons are there. Corresponding to the electrons, you will draw the electron arrangement. How the arrangement will be? You are going to plot it. What is the first energy level, second and third. But now let us understand the formation of bands starting from the atom. What happened in the case of atom? Then if you combine two atoms, means that is the case of the molecule. Then the third case when we are talking about the solid. Let us plot a diagram. See, you can see a diagram over here. Here energy spectra is being plotted in case of atom. Atom we have taken as first diagram A, molecule the second one, and solid the third one. All these three you need to understand. And here for to explain it, I have taken an example of the lithium. How many electrons are there in the case of the lithium? You must be aware with 3 electrons. So what could be the electron arrangement? If we talk about 1s, 2s, 2p, since lithium is having 3 electrons, so out of these 3, 2 will be in 1s, 1 electron will be in 2s, 2 will be 2p, this will be what? This will be empty. So you can see over here in this figure A, 1s level is being drawn which consists of 2 electrons, 2s level is being drawn, 1 electron, 2p level. This is completely free. As well as the electrons move away, it form a potential well kind of structure. So I hope this is clear to you. What is the first case where you have drawn the energy levels? Now let us discuss the second case B1, where two lithium atoms have been combined. So a molecular structure. Here you can see doublet kind of pattern, and corresponding to 1s you can see 2 levels have been drawn. One level is this one, and second is this one. Corresponding to 2s again 2 levels. But how these levels have been drawn? What is this actually? What do you understand by this, and how do you relate it actually? This concept, this is known actually the splitting. Let me write, this is the splitting. The same you can see in the case of the solids. See, 1s level, 2s level, 2p level, means here some of the bands you can observe over here. So what is actually happening in this particular case? See, How this splitting happens? When the two electrons are far away, there is not a much effect of the one electron onto the one atom onto the electron of the other atom. But what will happen when the two atoms are coming closer? There will be a perturbance. Then electron of one atom may occupy any of the level. Means here there was a single atom, but in this case there are two atoms. So what will happen? Electron of 1s shell may occupy any of the level in the either atom A or B. Similarly, when you are combining a number of molecules, means as well as it is being increased, so each and every level is being splitted into two levels. One is known as lower bonding energy level and second is known as higher anti-bonding level. So accordingly this splitting occurs. So this is how you can understand, and when you are combining for the solid, when you are studying for the solid, since it consists of a larger number of atoms, so each and every level is being each and every level is having energy, but that will be differentiated with a very small amount. Like one level is having 1 electron volt, other may be having 1.05, other may be having 0.95. So it is not possible to draw each and every level. So what will happen actually? All the energy levels have been combined into one band, and that kind of band is being drawn over here. But how this splitting occurs? See, if you observe a orbital pattern, so the orbit which is closer to the nucleus, that is tightly bound. So our orbit which is when you are moving away and away from the nucleus, means the distance, the radial atomic radius is varying. So larger the orbital, larger the splitting. In this case you can see that the splitting of 2p level will be more in comparison to 2s level, which will be more in comparison to 1s. So this is how splitting occurs, and you can understand the formation of energy bands. The same, let me explain you by taking an example of the solid. If there are 300 silicon atoms, so now let us first draw the energy level diagram for a single atom, then for combining a solid by considering all the 300 atoms. So how it could be drawn? For a silicon there are 14 electrons, so you can write down the electron arrangement. It would be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. See 3p, this is half filled because it can accommodate maximum of 6 electrons, and the same electron arrangement is shown over here. So now let us draw. See, energy level of a single isolated atom. First energy level, second energy level, third energy level, and third energy level is half filled, and after this unoccupied states. But now when we have taken 300 atoms, this is just to explain you, for example I have taken. If there are 300 silicon atoms, the overall arrangement you can see, in K shell how many electrons would be? 2, in L total 8 electrons, in M it would have 4 electrons. So if we talk about K shell, so K shell consists of all each and every 300 atoms related to the energy level, and since their energies are slightly variant, means it is not possible that each and every 300 out of each and every 300 atoms will have the same energy. There will be a slight variation, and this variation is why? This is because no two electrons will feel the same kind of charge environment, because the environment may vary, so the energy level may vary. So all the 300 electrons energy for K shell have been combined and can be drawn by a first band. Similarly, by combining L band, second band can be drawn. So here all the 300 electrons related energy for the first band have been drawn in this band kind of pattern. Accordingly, third band and so on. So this is how you can explain the energy bands in solid. Now moving away, you need to relate it with the interatomic distance as well, how it varies with the interatomic spacing. As you have studied that when this distance is high, this distance is large, you can see levels are discrete. Discrete levels means 1s, 2s, 2p, all these are the discrete levels you can see. But when this distance, interatomic spacing, it is decreasing. And you know the concept of splitting as well. Then splitting starts from n is equal to 3. You can see from at n is equal to 3, this splitting starts. 3s and 3p, these bands will split out into 2 bands. See, as well you are moving towards the left, from right to left, here R decreases, and these 2 levels 3s, 3p, which consist of, this is 3s, 3p, which consist of total 8n states. Splitting occurs and they will form a bond. Upper form bond is known as the conduction band, and the lower bond which is formed is known as the valence band, and splitting between these 2 bands and this gap is known as forbidden energy gap, which is represented as E of G. What will happen actually when electrons move, then some of the electrons may gain potential energy, means potential energy may increase, some of the electrons may lose potential energy may decrease. So, when electrons are gaining potential energy, their curve being plotted in the upward direction, while in the other case it will be plotted in the downward direction. I will explain you in the case of the EK diagram as well. Now, let us draw the EK diagram. This is a very important question. You must understand it and it may be asked in the university examination as well. EK diagram is the energy wave vector diagram. How to draw it? Energy wave vector diagram is plotted with respect to the total electron energy as a function of crystal direction. Just remember this. Electron wave vector is represented by k. It is proportional to the momentum and therefore the velocity of the electron. As I have told you, when potential energy increases or decreases. So, when potential energy increases, electrons will tend towards up, because see, on the y axis potential energy is being taken. So, electron will move towards up, means this represents the conduction band, and when potential energy decreases, electrons will tend to decrease downwards, means moves towards down, which is the valence band. So, this point is actually the conduction band minima and this point is the valence band maxima, because all the electrons, the pattern will be below this region, while here it will be above this. So, this point can be written as EC minimum and this is what? EV maximum. Now, let us draw the curve. See, total energy can be written as the sum of potential energy and the kinetic energy. Potential energy and kinetic energy is what? mv square upon 2. At the same time, you know P is what? m into V. So, by substituting this term, you can write potential energy plus P square upon 2m. And quantum mechanics says P is what? h into k upon 2 pi. So, just substitute the value of P, which is h up k upon 2 pi into this equation. You can write this as well. This is what? Potential energy, which is some constant, plus h k square upon 2 pi square into 2m. Here you can see h is a constant, pi is a constant, m is a constant. So, the only thing which is variable, that is k. So, you can write this is what? Potential energy, let us write it as some constant A plus something, let us say C1 times k square. If you see its behavior, this is a constant, it is a, will give you a parabolic pattern. So, when you are drawing for the conduction band is what? Conduction band is moving away from this point. So, this term would be positive and it will be drawn like this parabola, where this point will be shifted over here. But when you are talking about the valence band, since valence band covers this particular region downwards, so here this term would be what? Some minus constant minus, let us write some constant for valence band, Cv into k square, and this negative sign shows this downward region which is being covered. So, it represents this region. So, this is for the valence band, this is for the conduction band, and origin is being shifted like in this manner. So, this is how you can understand the EK diagram. Now, just let us revise some of the important points which you have studied in today's lecture. Bonding forces between the two atoms, it may be attractive or repulsive. You have studied three types of bonding forces. You have studied the concept of splitting. Then energy wave vector you have studied, which is the function of crystal direction. EK diagram, you studied that holes are found at the top of the valence band, because the curve is like in this manner. So, holes are here, electrons are at this point. Similarly, as I have told you, electrons means here it will be available at the bottom of the like this conduction band, and it like represents lowest kinetic energy. So, all these topics you have studied in today's class, and all of these topics are actually very important. You must analyze once while drawing the EK diagram how the energy is varying, then it would be very much easy for you to draw it. Thank you so much for watching this video.